The main issue of the U.S. presidential election, the looming threat of World War III. In a political landscape dominated by uncertainty and tension, former U.S. President Donald Trump has significantly bolstered his chances of reclaiming the White House in November. This newfound momentum comes in part due to an unexpected alliance with Robert Kennedy Jr., a candidate who has garnered respect for his pragmatic views on Ukraine and the growing conflict with Russia. As the specter of World War III looms larger, particularly in light of recent Ukrainian incursions into Russia's Kursk region, this issue is emerging as a pivotal topic in the election campaign, a narrative the Democrats are desperately trying to suppress. Robert Kennedy Jr., nephew of the iconic Democratic President John F. Kennedy, has thrown his support behind Trump, withdrawing from the race in a move that sent shockwaves through the political establishment. Kennedy, a maverick within his famous family, cited a profound disillusionment with the Democratic Party as the driving force behind his decision. "The Democratic Party has lost touch with the people," Kennedy declared, arguing that it has strayed far from its foundational principles of democracy. He lambasted the party for orchestrating sham primaries designed to stifle any serious challenge to President Joe Biden. When Biden's predictably poor debate performances spurred a palace coup, the Democratic National Committee quietly anointed a successor Vice President Kamala Harris, a candidate so unpopular that she withdrew from the 2020 primaries without securing a single delegate vote. Kennedy pointed out that in the 40 days since Biden's departure, Harris has yet to articulate a clear vision for America's future, much less defend it in any public forum. Despite his credentials as a courageous advocate and accomplished lawyer, Kennedy's unconventional background, including a history of drug addiction and a bizarre incident involving the removal of a parasitic worm from his brain, has alienated him from his famous family. His sister Carrie publicly condemned his endorsement of Trump, calling it a betrayal of the values our father and our family hold most dear. Yet, Kennedy's endorsement is undeniably significant for Trump. With his popularity among independent voters and his status as the most successful third-party candidate in decades, Kennedy's support could tip the scales in critical swing states where every vote counts. Current national polls show Harris leading Trump by a slim margin of 1.7 percentage points, but Trump holds a crucial advantage in the Electoral College, leading 287 to 251. However, in several battleground states, the race remains exceedingly close, with Trump leading by just 1% in Georgia, 0.9% in North Carolina, 0.5% in Arizona, and 0.2% in Pennsylvania. If Kennedy's withdrawal boosts Trump by even a single percentage point in these key states, it could dramatically enhance his chances of returning to the Oval Office. Polls suggest that Kennedy's participation may have primarily siphoned votes away from Trump, making his endorsement potentially game-changing. Intriguingly, Kennedy has only withdrawn from the race in swing states, intending to remain on the ballot in states where his support won't affect Trump's chances, such as solidly Democratic New York. This strategic move is designed to demonstrate his significant voter base while minimizing harm to Trump's campaign. However, Democrats are scrambling to counter this strategy, attempting to keep Kennedy's name on ballots despite his withdrawal, leveraging local laws and missed deadlines to their advantage. In the midst of this political chess game, the media has launched a parallel offensive against Kennedy. Reports of a decades-old incident in which Kennedy allegedly decapitated a dead whale and transported its head home by car have resurfaced, sparking a media frenzy aimed at discrediting the environmentalist-turned-political maverick. This scandal, however, pales in comparison to the more pressing concerns of the campaign, particularly the escalating international tensions that could push the world towards a catastrophic conflict. Donald Trump, never one to shy away from dramatic pronouncements, has warned that Ukraine's recent incursion into Russia's Kursk region will lead to World War III. While Trump is known for his apocalyptic rhetoric, especially when criticizing democratic policies, his concerns resonate with a growing segment of the American public. The notion that Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is intentionally dragging the US and NATO into a full-scale war with Russia is gaining traction within the American expert community. Leaks from the White House even suggest that President Joe Biden himself is aware of Zelensky's dangerous gambit. The Kremlin, typically cautious about commenting on U.S. elections, appears to share Trump's assessment. Dmitry Peskov, the press secretary for Russian President Vladimir Putin, acknowledged that the West's involvement in the conflict, particularly actions like the Ukrainian incursion into Kursk, escalates tensions to the brink. There is indeed cause for concern, Peskov remarked, validating the alarmist tones that have permeated Trump's campaign. If the unthinkable happens and a large-scale military conflict involving nuclear powers erupts, the blame will likely fall squarely on the shoulders of the Biden-Harris administration. Whether they approved the incursion into the Kursk region or not, the implications are damning. If they did, it demonstrates an alarming level of irresponsibility and recklessness. If they didn't, it reveals Harris's inability to control a key ally and casts doubt on her competence as a leader, especially in a scenario where Biden may be physically incapable of fulfilling his duties. The critical question now is how American voters will respond to this growing threat of global conflict. Can Trump and Kennedy convince the electorate that the real issue at stake in this election is the very survival of humanity? As the campaign progresses, this narrative may well become the defining issue of the 2024 presidential race.